You are now listening to Effin Radio.
And welcome to F&B Radio. My name is Lindsay Collins and I am your host. My body's been on a full cooking strike. You guys ever get in this place? I would like to go back in the history of my podcast episodes and be like, does this happen to me every September 8th? Because I feel like I've definitely said something similar before on this show, where I think a lot of people think that I just love cooking all the time and never hate it. And for the most part, that's like 100% true. But every now and then I slip into this place where I'm like, not only do I hate it, it's like my body just quiet quits. It's just like, I'm not going to make that. Or I'll like self-sabotage by going to the grocery store and making sure that I get everything except one crucial ingredient so that the whole thing doesn't work. And then I have to just order takeout again. And we've been in that place, I feel like, for weeks, where I am just, even my beloved breakfast, I'm still managing to get those in just because that's like the bare minimum. But a dinner, just not possible. No fucking way. Like I'm on strike, you know, for no reason. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the like extended heat where I am in Charleston, South Carolina. Like nothing sounds good at all. Like it doesn't matter. Like you can be like, Lindsay, do you want a big plate of nachos? And I'm like, not if I have to like use my hands to do anything other than eat them. Like, if you want me to go to Home Team and get nachos, like, yes, the answer is yes. But then I fall into the same trap of like, okay, so you take the easy route, you get the takeout. And then it's like somehow I don't enjoy it. So it's not even just that I don't want to cook. It's kind of that I'm like, even eating, it has like, there's like a small window where it feels good, where like all the pleasure sensors are firing, where you're like, this is exactly what I wanted. And then it's just like, why did I spend $80 on nachos? Like, now I don't know. It's like, it's just like this immediate shame feeling where you're like, I could have made that, especially me, because I'm like, maybe not to be, I don't know. Maybe you guys are all awesome cooks. I think a lot of you are. I think you would have to be to like want to hear this show on some level, but maybe you're not cooks that like to cook. So you're like, no, I actually couldn't make that bolognese. But I'm like, no, I can though. I possess the power to do it. It's just my body doesn't want to do it. And when I go into the kitchen, I just start like shuffling around and freaking out and being like, I'm not doing this. And it happens. And when it does, I'm always like, is this it? Because I feel like my mom reached a point where she was just like, I'm retired from cooking. Like she still will dust it off and like try to bust something out, but it's really funny to watch because she knows that she's like not where she once was in terms of like, you know, her chops just aren't up. Like she's never going to not be a good cook. She was always a great cook and she knows good food, but she's just out of practice. And so it's fun. It'll be funny to watch her like get in the kitchen and be like, I don't know. Here we go. Pork chops and rice. What the hell? But I feel like, am I like already there? Am I like prematurely retiring from cooking? Like I just keep, or I'll push through and be like, all right, make the fucking thing. And then it just sucks. And it's like, this is the worst thing I've ever made. I'm in a slump. And it's not for shortage of inspiration. I see things all over that I'm like, man, that's beautiful. Wow, you're really doing it. I see stuff like that. But the only thing that's really been like calling my name is sweets. I think I'm just in a self-soothing place where it's like, I don't want to, I'm rebelling. I'm like, I don't want to be healthy. I don't want to cook my own food. I don't want to go to the fucking farmer's market. You know what I want to do? None of that. I want to go through a drive-through like repeatedly. And I want to not go to sleep. I want to stay up and watch TV. I want to eat cookies at night. Like I'm just being like a really bad teenager. I'm like in a teenage fucking nightmare over here. But it's stressors in my life. Like I know it's stressors and I've had a lot of them. Like I would never air out any dirty laundry on this podcast, but I have been, and I think I've kind of alluded to this before, but I've been having like a weird streak where it's like I'm either growing into a new person and I'm expanding, or I'm really just devolving into a real piece of shit. But regardless, I don't know which one it is. I haven't sorted it out yet. I have my own feelings, but I can't say for sure because I feel a little out of sorts. But I have been just burning bridges left and right, lighting them up, just torching them, just fucking burning them down. With no real, like, I feel sad when it happens. Nobody likes to see like a relationship end or like a client relationship, which that's mostly what it is. It's mostly work stuff, but it's like, I've just been burning them down because I think I've just reached a point where I'm not like gonna put up with people's bullshit anymore. Like I have so many amazing clients. I would say almost all of my clients, especially now that the ones that have gone on. But I have just been setting very hard boundaries with people. And so I feel like it's like stress in my life. It's that part. So I'm just like, I don't feel like myself. And when I don't feel like myself, I don't feel like feeding myself. And then that makes me feel extra not like myself. Because that's like one of my fundamental principles. Like it's sort of an analogy for how I live my life. I'm like, it's not just about like, oh, look at me putting chimes on everything. It's like taking the time to make myself food is part of a ritual that I do to like feel like myself. And that makes me feel good. But right now I don't really feel like myself. I feel like some in between version. I feel like I feel like a teenager with hormonal acne, and I just don't want to go to school, and I'll grow out of it and then I'll go back to school and it'll be fine. But like right now I'm just sort of digging my heels in. I'm not cooking. So if you're not cooking either, also it's like, if we look at the other aspects that might be playing into this, it's the end of summer. So I'm definitely sick of everything that's growing. I'm tired of the heat. I'm ready for fall, but there's just no way to like incorporate fall flavor. The people who are already hitting the PSL button, I'm like, I see the desire and I understand the want, but I'm like, I'm just not there yet. I can't get into fall spices when it's 98 degrees outside. Like I just can't do it. And I'm like, I'm just like, I'll just eat nothing. I'll just eat snickerdoodles. That was one thing I was able to like feel excited about. I was like, ooh, snickerdoodles. And my kids were like, I had this thought. I was like, is snickerdoodle a retro cookie? Because my kids, who I think are Gen A'ers, wait, no, Gen A, what are they now? It's like something weird. They're like Gen Alpha. That's what they are. My kids are Gen Alpha. I'm like, do Gen Alpha kids, are they like going to grow up thinking that's like a Jello mold? Like people don't know what a fucking snickerdoodle is. I was like, you guys want snickerdoodles, boys? And they were like made fun of me. They were like, snickerdoodle? What are you talking about? And then I gave them the cookie and they were like, this is the best cookie ever. And I was like, I know. I don't know why you were hating on it. But the name just sounded like goofy and retro to them. They didn't know what it was, but they loved it. And so I made that, and that was delicious. And I think I made a chocolate olive oil cake that was just okay. And yeah, other than that, I've just been striking out all over the place. And here's how I know it's been a weird drought period for like cooking is that Jeremy is the best because he's also a great cook. But typically I'm driving like the menu train, or I'll run stuff by him and be like, what do you think? What do you think about this, this, this? And he'll kind of say what he's excited about, and whatever crosses over the most, that's what we make for the week. And even he came home with he goes, have you ever had a Rachel? And I was like, what? And then it turns out he was talking about the sandwich, which is like I don't know, like the girl version of a Reuben. I don't know why it's a girl other than it's a Rachel is the person's name. It's named after someone named Rachel. But I was like, no, I don't think I've ever had one, but it was coleslaw turkey, Russian dressing, toasted rye bread. And I think maybe there's something else that I'm forgetting. But he made it. And I was like, kind of like mind blown. I was like, whoa. I don't think I've had just something that out of left field in like such a long time. And I loved it. I was like, this is actually like, there's something curious about this. And it made me think about how retro food, it's not even that, it's not even old enough to be called retro. It's just like barely in the distant past, you know, like in the like somewhere stuck between 90s and early 2000s when like sandwich shops were kind of all the rage. And I don't know. I can imagine this, like, if you live in Charleston, you might be thinking of a place called Five Loaves Cafe, which still exists, but it used to be downtown and then it's gone now. But it's, just like kind of soups, hearty soups and salads and sandwiches. And like, that's their focus. And those restaurants they went out of vogue. No disrespect, because Five Loaves is actually open. I just was by a Five Loaves in Mount Pleasant. But I didn't eat there. But I was like, all those have been sort of traded up for something sexier, like, I don't even know, tacos, or people are just like not into sandwiches just don't speak to people like they did in the late 90s, early 2000s, when everybody was like, you know what this town could use as a cafe where I could listen to a beat night poetry and like eat something with a pickle spear and some generic restaurant supplied food chips on the side. And like, none of it's that great, but it just touches a place in people who were young during that time's hearts, and they want to eat lunch like that, or they think that somehow having a bread bowl is going to help them get through their workday. But yeah, it doesn't, it's kind of a thing of the past. So I was like, wait, a Rachel? What the fuck is a Rachel? But I loved it. And it just made me realize that that's how much I've been vetoing all my standbys. And I've kind of talked about this before on the show, but once upon a time, before like Bon Appetit and everything and food media became what it is now, people in America had really basic ideas about what you could eat. Like there was just like really limited idea. Like it was like meatloaf, taco night, spaghetti, red sauce, steak and potatoes, chicken in some fashion, grilled chicken, salads with bacos. Like it was just like these really, I'm just talking directly from my own childhood and upbringing. So if this wasn't your experience, obviously that's valid. But I feel like then all of a sudden it was like things had like a main and some sides. Like if you had meatloaf, you would have peas and carrots and mashed potatoes. And then somewhere in like, I don't know, 2007-ish, people started requiring that you cook like a restaurant at home. So like you wouldn't have individual dishes necessarily, like sides and a main. You would have a composed plate that is made up of a bunch of different things that are all seasoned together and like finished in I don't know why the word succotash keeps coming up, because that's not what I mean, but you know what I'm saying? Like just like a bunch of shit on a plate, like not separate. Like when I think of meatloaf, I'm like, you could eat the kind of food that you could eat on a divided like paper plate. That's the kind of food that people thought you could eat in the early 90s. So it's like, what's for lunch? Oh, soup and sandwich. That's all they got. They were like just soup and sandwich. And now obviously there's like the whole smorgasbord of like, do you want oysters or raw bar, crudo, or Asian food, or burritos, or do you want Thai food, or like it just runs the gamut. Like you can go get anything, especially living in Charleston, you can get anything you fucking want. And it's like, wow, it's almost like you have too much of everything. So you start reverting back to like these kind of novelty dishes where you're like, this is weird. This is a wild idea that I would go and make a Rachel with a pickle spear. and opt for that as an entire meal. But that's how just out of ideas I am. That's how uninspired I am. That's how, I don't know. That's how angsty I am. And like, one of them that I did make though, that I was like, these fucking slap, is the twice baked potato. And nothing screams like me growing up and having steak night and my parents like feeling fancy like the twice baked potato. You know what I'm talking about. I salt the jacket. I stab it with a fork. I put it in the oven. You bake it till it's done. A russet potato, it has to be a russet all the way through. And then you cut them in half. You scoop out the insides. You make mashed potatoes with cheese and sour cream and all of that. Put it back in. And then you top it with more shredded cheese and bacon and scallion. And you put it back in the oven until it becomes ripping hot. It's the ultimate side dish from the 90s. It's the ultimate side piece. And like, I made those and I was like, I'm really digging into the archives and I can feel it because that's how out of ideas I am. And it happens. So if you're feeling uninspired, just don't be hard on yourself because you'll find another source of inspiration, or you'll just get back into it, or you'll just have had enough. I keep waiting for me to have had enough of taco kits, but that's where I'm living right now. I'm squarely back in 1997 and I'm just like taco kits, cold cuts, meatloaf. I haven't actually made a meatloaf, but honestly, I want to. But I think I'm going to get out of that this weekend because it's my dad's 70th birthday. We're going out of town. We were supposed to do this a few weekends ago, and then it ended up getting postponed because of the hurricane. And we're making tacos, not taco kit tacos. We're making like fancy boy tacos, barbacoa, shrimp tacos, fish tacos. I'm going to make a key lime pie. I'm coming back. And I'm going to savor this last Friday of me just being a takeout panda. Just being like, I am not going to fucking cook. And it's okay, you know? You got to kind of give yourself a break to recharge or whatever it is that you do all the time. I'm like, sometimes even just breaking out of your routine, even though you love like I cling to my routine. I love my routine so much. So it's really soothing for me to kind of eat the same things that I know, like I love to make and that make me feel good. And I like the process of making them. They're not too hard. They're not too like easy. They're just kind of like my speed, my special little favorites. And I love making them all, but it's kind of nice to like step away from that and come back with fresh eyes and think about maybe adding in something different. Or doing like, even if you're not talking about food, just like do something out of the box. And especially if you're like unable to control it, like you're just really not doing it. Just let yourself off the hook, like me. Just join me in the drive-through. Just join me. Just get right up next to me and say, "Go ahead and get those poppers. You sweet little panda, you deserve." What else has been going on besides my my catastrophic food cooking breakdown? We took the boys to the International African American Museum, which opened here this year, not just a few weeks ago in Charleston, South Carolina. I cannot recommend it enough. It's absolutely mind blowing. It's one of the best museums I've ever been to, if not the best museum I've ever been to. It's so stunning. It's freshy, brand new. So everything is just like state of the art, beautiful. The design is absolutely incredible. The content in the museum is laid out in a way that is just so thoughtful, but they spared no detail when it comes to laying this museum out in a way that is honest and thorough and informative and thought-provoking and moving. And it truly, I think I've talked about the museum to someone, mostly Jeremy, but like also to anyone and everyone I meet in some fashion every single day since we went. And we took the boys, and it's really, God, it's just an absolutely moving experience to go into the museum and see everything, because it's sort of chronicles from the time of slavery and the establishment of slavery in America to now. And it highlights so many incredible African American people from history. And it just really makes you twist things around in your mind and just mull over so much and have so many, really just, it gives you an opportunity to have these kind of thought-provoking, moving experiences about yourself, about others, about where we are now in this city and where we are now in this country, and how much work there is still to do, and how, yeah, it's just absolutely, I mean, I don't even fully have the word. I'm truly still processing everything that I took in at the museum, and I can't recommend it enough. Go there. We got tickets. You do have to reserve tickets ahead of time, but it wasn't that far. I think we got them within 3 days of the time that I started looking. So it's very easy to get in. It's relatively inexpensive. Go check it out. It is absolutely amazing. You will be blown away. I can't wait to go back, because you can't even really see all of it in one visit. It's so much, and it's so much material to kind of get through and think about, and so many beautiful things to see, so many terrifying and horrible things to see, and also just like an experience that I think we can all benefit from. But yeah, Fletcher Williams III just opened his first museum solo exhibition at the International African American Museum. And I don't want to spoil it, because we're going to have Fletcher on in a few weeks. So I'm not going to talk about the exhibit right now, but all I can say is before he comes on the show, which is going to be, I think, in the next 3 weeks, go see his exhibit. I don't think I've ever been, I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but just go see it. Just go see it in advance of him coming on the show, because then you'll be in the know, and you'll enjoy that. And like the interview with Fletcher will be so much more impactful, because you're going to just be like, holy shit, it's incredible. My jaw was on the floor the entire time. It's stunning. It's beautiful. It's everything. There are no words to describe it, but we're going to do our best to get through it. And I can't wait to talk to him. I'm a huge fan, like a big, big fan. And I can't wait for him to come on the show. And that's going to be not this week, but next week. So if between now and then you get a chance, go to the International African American Museum, and Fletcher's show is smack dab in the middle of the whole museum, and it'll blow your mind. Go treat yourself to the brilliant mind of Fletcher Williams III, and then you can come back and listen to the episode with him in a few weeks. There's just so much cool shit happening in Charleston right now. It really is. It's exciting, and especially in the art world. Jeremy has shows coming up September 22nd, opening at Redux. It's the Under the Radar show. He's going to have some paintings in that show. And then also October 14th, he has a solo show at Head High that I am so freaking excited about. I've been talking about it on every episode. I know you're like, we get it, but it is so exciting. And I cannot wait to, for you guys to see the work and to see what he's been working so hard. Jeremy truly has been like, it's inspiring. I think maybe that's why I'm having a mental breakdown. I'm like, wow, I'm not doing enough. I'm not keeping that tempo. He's firing on all cylinders right now, and I'm so proud of him. So definitely try to check out either the show at Redux on September 14th. I hope I'm saying that right. No, I'm not. September 22nd. Sorry. And October 14th at Head High. But anyway, listen, it's Friday, people. I don't know if you're just going to be hitting the drive-through lanes like I was all week, or if you're going to make something fun, but I hope whatever you do, you have an amazing weekend. I cannot wait to try to get back on the horse. If you've been having a food stall out like me, let me know. I feel like usually when I'm feeling that way, at least one or two of you are also in the same headspace, because it just is like that. But thank you for listening. Get stoked for the next couple guests. We have some guests lined up that I'm obviously so excited about, Fletcher. And then there's a few more that I can't quite talk about until I get him confirmed. But rest assured, we've got some very fun guests coming up. And as always, thank you for listening. You can rate and review the show. It helped. Apparently, I'm trending in Canada. I just looked on the charts and I was 82 on Canada's food charts. So whoever's up there that's really getting into all of the archives of F&B radio, thank you. I've never been on the charts in Canada, ever. In some ways, it's kind of more of an honor than being on the charts in the US with the way this place is going. I'm like, wow, Canada's sort of aspirational at this point. Has been. But I mean, like, even now, I'm like, I'd almost rather be higher up on the charts in Canada than maybe anywhere. Although I still do pretty good in Croatia. Not that I'm checking every country every day, but anyway, I love you all. I hope you're having an amazing weekend wherever you are. And yeah, if you want to throw a couple double cheeseburgers on my porch, I'll probably crawl out from under the house and be like, thank you. And then crawl back in. And you'll be a hero. So I'll see you next week. Bye. Bye.
Déciderait de se faire la malle. Ta famille, les amis.